Welcome in to Lock In Live NFL Week 11 with Uncle Phil and Smooth Andy. Thanks everyone for joining us this Sunday morning. Uncle Phil, Smooth Andy, how are you guys doing?
Good, man. Took a beating yesterday in college football, but back to make it up today. Ready to get after it.
Definitely. How about you, Smooth?
Doing well. Had a good day yesterday in college. Had a bit of a lean day today in pro, but still enough games to keep me occupied.
Well, you fed the people yesterday. I'm going to feed them today.
Definitely. Well, you have been feeding them, Uncle Phil. Before you get to your picks, I just pulled some stats. You're 24-13 for 65% in your last 37 NFL public plays. Not bad. NFL Notebook in the last 5 weeks is 40-24 for 63% and 28-14 on your teasers. And I see some teasers in the Notebook. I don't know if you're going to play any teasers today, but man, absolutely crushing it. What's contributing to your NFL dominance the past 5 weeks?
Look, man, it is just really putting in the work. I'm putting in a ton of work on NFL. I know the teams. This is my time of year. I know it year after year. This is the time that I eat, and the people that follow and buy the Notebook, they eat too. We're going to eat today. I'm excited about that. I love my teasers today. I love my whole card. So typically go with six best bets and 4 teasers. In my Notebook today, I have 8 best bets and I have 5 teasers. So it was really, really hard narrowing down my picks today because I liked a lot of them today. So, look, I'm excited for it and ready to get after it today.
Definitely. So, where are we eating first, Uncle Phil?
Yeah. Look, we're headed to Detroit first. And you don't make a living betting double-digit dogs, but in this case, I'm going to make an exception. Jacksonville is a troubled franchise. Mac Jones is starting, and Ian Rappaport came out yesterday with a report that said that if Jacksonville doesn't win today, that Jacksonville's bye is coming up next week, that Doug Peterson's going to be out on Monday. Jacksonville's not winning this game. Jacksonville's going down. I know we typically bet one of the things that we typically do is we bet a team like last week that New Orleans gets a new coach, kind of that 1 week bump on New Orleans on a new coach. Well, there's also a little rule where teams where you have a coach that's dead man walking, you keep hammering against them until it happens. And today I'm invoking that rule and I'm betting against Jacksonville today, and as much as I'm betting for Detroit. So give me Detroit minus 13.5 is my first best bet. My second best bet, a little different. I'm going to go to Denver, where Atlanta's coming to visit. I don't know if you guys have noticed yet, but Denver, there's probably no coach in the NFL that knows the NFC South better than Sean Payton, since he was a resident there for so long. This year alone, he has beaten all on the road. He's beaten Carolina, beaten New Orleans, and beaten Tampa Bay by an average of 19 points. Give me Denver -2 to take down Atlanta today. The public is on Atlanta. I'm not. I'm on Denver. Give me Denver -2 to cover.
We love it. Good stuff. Smooth, where are you on today?
Okay, today I've got 1-6 indicator bet, which might be a record. I'm not sure. Not that I'm incredibly confident about it, but I've got Chicago today at home against Green Bay. Ticks a lot of boxes for me. So give me Chicago. That's my first one. I'm going to give one more now and one later. I am also going to be on the Jets today against Indianapolis. They are a home dog as well. Home favorite of 4 points. But I kind of like this spot for them. I love the fact that Indianapolis, we don't know who made the decision, but their coach came out and said that they were going to play Joe Flacco this week. And then a day or two later, he came out and said, no, it's going to be Richardson. Presumably that means Irsay stuck his hand in things. I'm guessing the guys in the locker room know they were better off with Flacco than Richardson. And that might demotivated them a little bit today, and we'll see about that. But I just think this is a good spot for the Jets. So give me the Jets -4.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Matt. If you don't mind, I'll comment. I'd like to comment on those just in support of Smooth Andy. It's that it's taking the latter first with Indianapolis. Look, it's kind of a sharp play this week. The Jets haven't covered against anybody, or at least the public is on Indianapolis rather, because the Jets have just been horrendous, haven't covered against anybody, have just spiraling down a tube. But to Smooth Andy's point, with Richardson coming on, kind of about face, there was supposedly some immaturity issues, him being late for meetings, things like that. We know he took himself out of the game. Didn't sit well with some of the veteran players there. Wouldn't be surprised if this game didn't go well for them, even against the bad Jets team. And I'm not a fan of the Jets right now. And then Chicago, I certainly see a path to do that. Jordan Love, leads the NFL interceptions. There's no indication that he's not going to give one away again today. And the other thing is that with the dismissal of Shane Waldron and the elevation of passing game coordinator Thomas Brown, when he was when he got elevated last year at Carolina under Doug Rick or Frank Reich, the Carolinas, their running attempts went up. And so you could see Chicago relying much more on their running game, especially with the woes that Caleb's having, taking the ball out of his hands a little bit more, kind of what Kellen Moore has done with Jalen Hurts at Philadelphia. They've been more of a running-oriented team. They're a Saquon running-oriented team and a Jalen Hurts running-oriented team. I expect that to happen today with Chicago. I expect them that Thomas Brown will increase their number of run attempts today, which will probably keep that low score, tying into Smooth Andy's pick of Chicago. Very sharp pick. I like them both.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, it's that time. Let's get to some questions and comments. We'll start it off on TikTok. We got a question in regards to the total in the big game of the day, Buffalo versus Kansas City. You guys have any thoughts on the total? I know Smooth Andy doesn't play totals, but Uncle Phil?
Yeah. Look, this game's interesting to me. Typically in the regular season, that game typically goes under the number, and in the postseason, when Kansas City and Buffalo get together, it goes over the number. Just to give you guys some data on that game, the past few weeks, really, I kind of look at teams when they come off the bye and see how they're doing. Kansas City is just 2-2 as far as over-unders on totals since their bye. Buffalo, they've gone over in the last 4 out of 5. Certainly a little bit of lean toward the over, but again, these are teams that know each other well. They know this is probably going to be a potential AFC Championship rematch in this one. Buffalo is going to be playing for seeding. I expect James Cook to get a lot of run today. Certainly, Buffalo has increased the number of passes that Josh Allen has done lately, which has led to more interceptions for him. Could keep that number under, but I think James Cook will play a bigger role in that. Kansas City also, without Harrison Butker, I think could come into play as well. That's a big play, especially we remember field goals are almost always important in this game. So I would lean toward the under. It's not one of my best bets. However, I've got 2 other bets on this game in my notebook that I'm really excited about. Matt, we need to think about having a members only call maybe prior to this for like 15 minutes just for me to explain stuff, because I really wish I could explain some of the picks in my notebook and how I arrived at those. Look, I just think that just kind of like the deal with Sean Payton on one of my best bets for Denver Day. I've heard no one on TV or anybody talking about how Sean Payton has beaten the AFC South right now in the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Panthers by an average of 19 points. Look, that is That's just it just seems like a really good angle day. I've got some good angles on the Kansas City Buffalo game, but unfortunately they're in the notebook, so I'll leave it at that.
Definitely. All right, let's go to the next question. We got Chase on Twitter. He says Steelers or Ravens.
Smooth Andy, any thoughts on that game?
I really wanted my numbers to come up and tell me to bet Pittsburgh. I like similar to Chicago. I like a divisional dog, home dog in particular, which is what both Chicago and Pittsburgh are today. So I saw that and thought, oh, that's going to come out in my spreadsheet. And instead, I think I just ended up with a lean on Pittsburgh, so I didn't bet it. But that my instincts when I saw this was I want to be on Pittsburgh. I've been kind of downplaying them all year because I didn't think they were for real. They beat Atlanta and all they did was kick field goals in week 1, and it was kind of it was sort of like Kansas City, sort of an unimpressive way to keep winning games where you're just sort of winning really tight wins, but you just keep finding a way to win. I think in this case, all that stuff goes out the window because it's a division rival with Baltimore, and I just think I like them. I like Baltimore. Pittsburgh at home as a home dog against a divisional rival like this. They're going to bring their A game. So will Baltimore. But give me the points.
Yeah, look, this game has been really interesting. Again, it's in my notebook. I'll kind of handicap it top line about this. I didn't play the total in my notebook because the total was a little high. However, Baltimore is 8-1-1 in favor of their games have gone over 8 out of the 10 games they played. Pittsburgh, their games have gone over 5 out of the 9 games they played, but they've gone over 5 out of the 6 and all 3 games that Russell Wilson has played. But again, 48 was just a little rich for me to put it in the notebook, so I didn't do that. Pittsburgh is just really Tomlin has figured out Lamar a little bit in the past. I think he's 3-1 against Lamar, but these are different teams. Every year is new. This is a very interesting team where again, this is typically not your AFC North teams where you kind of feel like Tomlin's evolving into Nick Saban. You remember Nick Saban was just built on defense. And all of a sudden, he got in offensive coordinators and started putting up a ton of points there when he realized the college football was shifting. I feel like Tomlin's kind of done that with Russell Wilson, even though Pittsburgh spends the majority of their cap on offense or on defense. Rather, they've really been cooking with this offense under Arthur Smith. Was really surprised. Didn't think much of Arthur Smith as a head coach. Felt like he underutilized some players there, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson in particular. But as an offensive coordinator, he's hitting a stride. He's doing a great job here. So, look, I think that I have a slight lean toward the over, but 48 is just too much points for me. But, again, the side is something that I'm locked in, and that's in the notebook for me.
Sweet. All righty, let's keep it rolling. We got a question from TikTok. Minnesota, Tennessee.
Smooth Andy.
I have a bet on Tennessee that's going to show up in my tweet as soon as this is over. I got them this week as well. They're actually a 3 indicator bet, which is like my second highest number this week, along with a couple other 3s that I got. Tennessee's one that I like a lot this week. It just ticked the right boxes for me, so I'm all over it. And I got them at +6 if I'm not mistaken. So, yes, I am on it. How about you, Uncle Phil?
Yeah, not in my notebook. Stayed away from this one. Look, after Sam Darnold, the way he played last week, just didn't really instill any confidence. I wanted to go with Minnesota. Not really impressed with Tennessee. I just don't see the pop in Brian Callahan Jr. as we saw last year with Jonathan Gannon at Arizona. We noticed how hard that team played for him. We're not seeing that same under Mike Macdonald this year either. I just can't figure out Seattle. Really had high hopes for Seattle under Mike Macdonald, just not playing as well as we wish they were. Maybe that's a Geno Smith thing rather than a Mike Macdonald thing. But again, that's kind of where we are. But getting back to this game in particular, Minnesota is just 1-3 against the spread since the bye. Seems like Sam Darnold is regressing. They kind of took the ball out of his hands in the fourth quarter last game and just ran the ball. Kevin O'Connell said after the game that was not. He has full confidence in Sam Darnold, but what else is he going to say? He has no alternative to him. With J.J. McCarthy on the shelf for the year. So, Sam Darnold really showed me last week that he could regress back into the old guy of the Carolina and the New York Jets. Sam Darnold, I don't trust him, and if I don't trust you, I don't bet on you. So I left it alone for that. I just don't have enough faith in Tennessee to put it out there like Smooth Andy. Kudos to Smooth Andy for having the guts to do that. I just couldn't do it. But if I played this game, it'd be Tennessee or pass for me. But it's a pass.
All righty, let's keep going. Sunday Night Football, probably the second best game of the day with the Chargers and Bengals. Any thoughts on that one?
Smooth Andy?
This is one that I was hoping would come up for me on the Chargers. I've not really been a big believer in the Bengals this year. I think they're one of those teams. I think the Jets is another team that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, although this week I don't really feel that way about the Jets. But I think the Jets and the Bengals are these teams that everybody's still betting like it was like for the Bengals like 3 years ago, and for the Jets, well, I don't even know when. Geez, I guess when Mark Sanchez was there or something. Right. I think the fact that Aaron Rodgers showed up there, but he just thought it would magically solve everything for the Jets, and it didn't. Now, in the case of Cincinnati, I mean, they've been floundering this year. They're in a good division. They're 4-6. They're not out of it completely, but they're close. And I'm not sure that I know some people will say, well, then they're desperate. They're going to bring their A game. Well, it's hard to bring your A game out of desperation for what would it be 7 weeks in a row to try to stave off elimination from the playoffs. I like the Chargers. I like their defense, and I was hoping that would pop up on my radar. I did get a lean on the Chargers, but it wasn't enough to pull the trigger. So that was one of the bets I wanted. I was hoping I would make Pittsburgh, the Chargers, and New Orleans were the three that I really kind of wanted to be on, but none of them popped up on my spreadsheet, so I'm not on them. But gun to my head, definitely I'd be on the Chargers.
Yeah,
quietly playing really well. I'll put it that way.
They have, particularly since the bye. I think that's a really good point that you bring up. Look, I've got this. It's not in my notebook. I am typically not putting Sunday or Monday night in the notebook because I will typically put those out publicly on Twitter, and I will definitely be playing tonight and Monday Night Football on Twitter. You'll definitely see posts from me on that. Unless I just absolutely get shellacked today and I got to rethink how I've approached this entire week. I don't anticipate that happening. I think I'm going to do really well today. Like I said, have lots of games that I'm playing, kind of up the number of games I'm playing, as a matter of fact. And I'm definitely going to be playing tonight as well. Look, interesting thing about the Chargers, ever since the bye, it's like Harbaugh has kind of unleashed Justin Herbert a little bit. Some calculations that I did this week. I was looking at all the games, kind of completion attempts, yards, and his rushing yards. Justin Herbert, before the bye, went 15 of 23. And after the bye, he's averaged going 20 of 30 each game. So he is certainly up that. He's gone from passing for, before the bye, 142 yards. Again, before the bye, he had 4 games. After the bye, we've got 5 games. He's averaged passing before the bye of 142 yards. After the bye, he's averaging passing for 262 yards. Really up that. And he's gone from rushing about 4 yards or 4 times a game for 6 yards. Now he's rushing about 4 times a game for 19 yards. So they've certainly picked out some situational ways that they're using him. Look, their defense is only allowing 13 points a game. I saw a stat put out today, I think it was by Albert Breer, that talked about how in a first-year head coach, that is the lowest number of points given up by a first-year head coach in the past 20 years, since 2011. And that first-year head coach was the 2011 San Francisco 49ers under Jim Harbaugh. So again, what he's doing looks to be is very sustainable. It's wash, rinse, repeat. On the other hand, really like Joe Burrow. He's really putting this team on the back. They are absolutely nothing without Joe Burrow. He's phenomenal. I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan. This Chargers defense, if you look back at the teams they played, they haven't seen a quarterback with 2 wide receivers, especially getting T. Higgins back tonight, that they've played against since that. So it looks to be a well of a game. I think it's going to be, obviously everybody's excited about Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I'm probably as excited about Cincinnati Chargers tonight, and I've got some strong feelings about that. And it'll be on Twitter tonight. I'll be dropping those picks at 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Absolutely. Well, go to Uncle Phil's Locks and follow him there. Put the notifications on so you don't miss that pick, and also hit at Smooth Andy 5 as well for a bunch of games and a lot of great picks week in, week out. Anyways, let's keep going. We'll take a few more. We got a question from Linus on Twitter. He says, guys, I know you don't do a lot of props, but you think Pickens today against the Ravens is a potential play? And then I'll add another question. Personally, do you have any props that you like just across the board today?
Smooth Andy, are you propping at all?
Bless you for giving that to me.
No, I've got some thoughts on it. I just
why don't you start, and I'll try to come up with some of my own.
Yeah, I don't know what the Pickens number is on that. I'd have to see that. But yeah, I mean, look, Baltimore has got they're a bottom 3 secondary. I'd say Pickens all day, every day against his secondary. Russell Wilson and him seem to have a special connection, and just throwing it up there. Look, and I think that secondary for Baltimore is at the end of the day is their fatal flaw. There's been no team in the NFL that's had a bottom 3 secondary that's ever reached the Super Bowl. So I just think that's a problem for them. I think it's a problem for them today, but I think it's a problem for them every game. So I do like Pickens in that. I'm not sure what the yardage is, so I think he'll cover that today. I like that. One of my favorite props today is Josh Allen. Over 7.5 rushing attempts. I think against Kansas City today, Josh Allen does what Josh Allen does. He puts this on his back, and he's had to, and especially without Kincaid out and Keon Coleman out. I think that he'll take some on of his hand. He'll take some of this on his hands like he always does, and I like him over 7.5 rushing attempts today.
Sweet. Smooth still in silence, trying to figure out a prop.
I have a hard. I'd really to weigh in on George Pickens. I'd have to really look into it, and I just haven't, and I don't typically look at individual players other than who's healthy, who's not. But like finding out the Baltimore secondaries in the bottom third, I didn't know that until Uncle Phil just mentioned it. I mean, they're known to be a good defense overall. They're up front. The front seven's probably among the best, but. So maybe they'll get a pass rush and the secondary won't matter, or maybe they won't and the secondary will matter. Things like that. I just haven't delved into it. So I don't want to poison the well here. So just stick with what Uncle Phil said.
Love it. All right, guys, we're about 65 minutes until kickoff. Any final thoughts before we take off?
Smooth Andy, any thoughts for people? And by the way, Pickens, I just looked it up. It's 70.5 yards over. I'll take that. I like that a lot.
Okay. Final thoughts for me. I was kind of flabbergasted that Chicago got so much support in my spreadsheet. So I'm going to be really rooting hard for them just because I like seeing my top pick end up well. Some of my others are going to be harder to make, and I've actually sent my tweet as of about 3 minutes ago. So my picks are up there. A couple of them are really ugly. I'll just go ahead and say Dallas and Jacksonville are on my card today. So I do not like them, but there they are. So we'll see how that works out. I'm backing Mac Jones and whatever the hell the name of Dallas's quarterback who threw for 50 yards or something last week.
That would be Cooper
Rush. Yeah. Anyway, so that's uncomfortable, but I'm, like I said, to answer the one who brung you, I'm going to stick with my spreadsheet and cross my fingers.
Yeah. Well, good luck today, except with Jacksonville. Obviously, I am against you with one of my best bets on Detroit, but always wish you well. I'm sure you're going to do well today. Guys, hey, thanks for tuning in. Again, like Matt said, please follow Smooth Andy at Smooth Andy 5 on X, me and Uncle Phil's Locks across all platforms. And again, we'll be putting some special content out on YouTube, so please like and subscribe there as well. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the follow. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday morning with us. Guys, as always, let's have a day. As always, guys, let's roll.